If you could work a power and a speed move and have a counter off that, if you could have 3 moves, power, speed, and a counter, then you can always keep an offensive lineman guessing. It's when you start to get to the point where you try multiple different moves that you don't really get good at a couple.
614 Headsets is proud to be sponsored by Fundraising University Ohio. Fundraising University Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach their fundraising goals. Fundraising University Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. Brent Maxwell with Fundraising University will sit down and help you strategize and execute your fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent at the letter B, Maxwell at fundraising.u.net or 740-501-8946 to learn how you can get started with fundraising.
It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
Don't eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
It's a hat! Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. It's a hat!
Welcome back to 614 Headsets. We are your sports podcast where we say strategy meets story. We're 3 high school coaches from Columbus, Ohio that just love football. We're committed to bringing you great content that's both entertaining and educational. We've got a great episode tonight that I know Dom's going to talk about later, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. It's the first episode that we finally talked D-line. It dawned on me as we were getting into drafting this and coming up with our script. I was like, man, we haven't had a D-line episode only. So it's been a really cool topic. I think Coach did a really good job today talking a lot about just how to train defensive line and how to scout and do some different things. I think he had a lot of hidden really good nuggets. But first off, it's important to tell you're keeping up with us week to week. I was telling Ryan before we got on here, Mama Stout, a.k.a. Grandma TT, hit him up with some candy. She drove all the way up to Akron, meeting a friend, and there's some famous – she's going to take us all to the candy shop. She's coming down Saturday, Ryan. So I'm going to have your candy. I'm going to have your baby summer seat. I'm going to have all that. So we got to link up so you can get all this stuff from me, man.
I love that. We had to contact Kyle for something he put on Facebook Marketplace this week. We would make sure. My wife wanted to make sure that we grabbed it. She's
slinging baby goods over spring break.
I text my guy. I'm like, hey, can we get this? Kyle took a while to text back for, I don't know what he was doing, but then she's like, can you call? I'm like, I promise he did not sell that within the 30 minutes that I texted him just now.
There were other people that hit me up right at the same time. It was a hot commodity, but I take care of my boy.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I knew it was in you to do that. But also, also Northland Vikings tennis just whooped on Beechcroft today. We're feeling real good. We just took our rivals out. Little 3-2
win streak. We're on a win streak now.
There you go. 3-game win streak right now.
Win streak. There we go.
Coaches tournament next week, right? City coaches tournament is what it's called. Is we got 3-game win streak. We're hot. I think we just keep striking while our iron's hot right now, buddy.
I love it. Sarge, you're doing a great job over there, and you haven't even consulted me yet. A little around the world, maybe in practice. We got some technique specific with tennis.
Oh, buddy, we barely practice now. We got matches every night. We literally had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday because the makeups. It's raining and stuff. It's out of control.
Don, you tell us, man, how you missed last week. We haven't talked to you a little bit. How was vacation?
Did you feel bad? Because when I'm on vacation, I sit there and enjoy my podcast episode on Wednesdays.
You know what? I'll tell you this. If we had a different day than Wednesdays, we record for the viewers and listeners. We record on Wednesdays. Wednesday was my last night with the family. Didn't know I was going to see them the next time. My grandma and my aunts and uncles. I did miss you guys, though. You guys were heavy on my hearts.
Your aunt
entire night.
You were not hanging out with your aunt at 9 p.m.
No, I was with my uncle at the bar at about 9 p.m. It's about
the truth comes out. Don't say, oh, my poor aunt and grandma. I miss them so much.
Like
you're not even with them.
Dude's making them hot tea and stuff, acting like he's just like catering to them.
No tea in that family.
I don't know when I'll ever see them again. You're at the bar slugging brews with your uncle, dude.
Yeah, we were.
There's so many holes in all your stories that are so predictable.
That was a pretty clear story.
We're glad you had a great vacation. We're glad you're back with us. Tell everybody what we're getting into on episode 76, Front for Fury.
Episode 76. We're getting everything into D-line play, D-line scouting, D-line technique with Coach Nate Trawick. He's a defensive line coach and run game coordinator at Colgate University. Got a really interesting background and story through his first 6-7 years of coaching, from high school levels, at local levels, some national levels that you heard about, all the way through Power 5 and now at Colgate. Former teammate of mine at Miami, great guy, and definitely somebody we wanted to talk all this technique when it comes to defensive line play, recruiting. It's an episode for everybody, but especially if you're a defensive side of the ball coach, you're going to want to listen.
I love it, man. And it's been great. It was a great episode. And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow the show. Help us retweet. Help us spread out what we're doing. Send us some content ideas, man. We're doing this weekly. We're doing the best I can to try to get guests and do things. Or if you even want to be on the show, maybe you haven't been on the show yet. No, we've got a couple of people reach out to us. You definitely are on the think tank. But we just want to keep rolling this as we continue into start to think about it. It's like almost summer. Like, we're getting in the final plannings of season 3 almost. We definitely want to continue to put out great content for you, everybody. But it's that time. Donovan, you had a week off. So this is a heavy Donovan show.
Our locker.
It's locker rocker time, Donnie. And Donnie does do pretty good on these locker rockers. So I'm ready, man. Get us going. Football coaches, listen up. You spend hours in the weight room and on the field pushing your athletes to be their absolute best. But are they fueling their bodies with the right supplements to maximize performance and recovery? Max Effort Muscle provides safe, trusted, and effective supplements designed specifically for athletes, trusted by Division I strength coaches and top college programs across the country. Their lineup includes everything your team needs to train harder, recover faster, and perform at their peak, from whey protein, amino recovery, creatine monohydrate, and NDR hydrate.
Listen, everybody knows football is won in the trenches. Don't let poor nutrition be the weak link in your program. Reach out to them today and get your team on Max Effort Muscle. They work with any team, any size, any budget. Visit maxeffortmuscle.com and email Tyler Treadway. His email is treadway@maxeffortmuscle.com to learn more about team pricing, partnerships, and get a custom package made for your team for as low as $250. I'm good with this. So the main theme for this week's segment is all about staying steady. I think we as a society, when it comes to just people in general, when it comes to young men or old men like Coach Stout, we don't always talk about that idea of leading the charge or staying steady when it comes to our personal lives, when it comes to leading our families, setting an example in our communities, whatever it may be. But that theme was on my mind, like just looking towards this next year as a coach of, okay, what can I do better outside of the coaching, the technique, and the studying the game? What can I, as a coach with my individual players, do better? And just like our personal lives, the idea of staying steady came to mind. I think our players, high school level, college level, whether or not they are experienced players or inexperienced players, they react to what us as coaches do, and specifically us as position coaches, coordinators when they have a close relationship, and head coaches when they have a close relationship. They see that and they react off it. So staying steady versus, are you going to be the guy that's going to go sink the ship when the bullets are flying, when the cannons are firing? Are you going to be the guy, or are you going to be the guy that's going to go up, take the ship by the wheel, plant it at the beach, and then carry it into your mission? Are you going to be the one that's going to carry the boat? Or are you going to be the one that's going to wreck the boat? And so staying steady in this process, I think, is big for our players, big for us as people in our personal lives. But you guys can keep laughing. You like that?
It's a fire quote, but the moment you started talking, I got to ask myself, like, where did you find it? And how many times did you rehearse it before you said it?
I thought about this when I responded this morning or afternoon saying I would do it. And I'm like, yeah, this would be a good one. And
where does the boat, sink it, grab the wheel, park it on the beach come from? That is not original.
The carry the boats is like with Jocko or Goggins, whoever says that everybody heard of the grab the. Are you going to sink it? Or are you going to grab the wheel, park it on the beach, and then carry it to your mission? That I just came up with today. Dead honest.
Blacks out, dude. You're having a locker rocker every week now. This is great.
I'll come up with something new.
Stay steady.
Time.
Grab that wheel.
Stay hard.
What, can you burn the boats? That's our thing in Northland. Burn the boats.
No burning them. You're carrying them to the mission.
carry the
You're gonna carry
Carry
them
the
off the
boat.
beach, and you're gonna throw them at your target.
Carry the boat.
Plant it right there.
Why would you carry your own boat? That'd be a waste of energy.
We have that much energy. When you stay
Burn
steady,
the
you
boat.
have that much energy.
Now there's no retreating. Go fight.
I'm gonna look at you in that first inside run, baby. And you better have all that energy, or I'm gonna look at you and be like, "Carry your boat." Like, you know what I mean? I can't wait. But hey, that's great, man. And that's the Locker Rocker presented by Max Effort Muscle. Make sure you get with them. Hey, coaches, $250 minimum. You'd be surprised. I used to think, hey, there's no way you could partner with a company like that to help your team. It really is very small. They'll work with any team, any size, any budget. They definitely have a brand new protein bar out that everybody's talking about with Sayer's favorite creatine to get them going.
Don't short that bar. That's a creatine bar. That ain't no protein bar.
It's got a little bit of both in there. Check them
Put
out.
it in my veins.
Reach out to Tyler, man. See what they can do for your team as you head into trying to get ready for the season. But we hope you guys enjoy this episode. Let's roll.
We've got a great guest on tonight, my former teammate from Miami, Nate Trawick, Coach Nate Trawick, defensive line coach and run game coordinator at Colgate University for episode 76 to talk all things D-line, pass rush, coaching, you name it. Coach, give us a little introduction if you don't mind. Talk to us about how you got to this point in your life and your coaching journey.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me up on here tonight, man. Really excited to talk about some D-line play. You know, how I got to this point, originally from Richmond, Indiana. So grew up right on the Indiana-Ohio state line and played football my whole life and went to Miami, Ohio, literally right down the road. Played 4 years there, 3 years started. Had a really good career over there. When I graduated, the first thing I did was get into high school coaching. So I started coaching at my alma mater high school. I did that for 2 years and was a teacher there and really enjoyed it. And during that time, being a young coach, I went to a lot of clinics, talked to a lot of college coaches. And so really the thought process was I go GA and try to get a GA somewhere, and was connected with a lot of GAs at that time. And then was able to connect with a coach from IMG Academy. And he's an Indianapolis guy and from Noblesville, and took a liking to me and really just honestly the right place, the right time. Their D-line coach left, and I'm pretty sure at that time went to the USFL. And so the opening happened, and I was able to get a chance to go down there and coach D-line, and was down there for 2 seasons, got to do some cool things down there. Got to coach the Under Armour All-American game and really grow my network. Going down there, I got to connect with a lot of people really all over the country, since it's just a big national powerhouse, and got to see a lot of college coaches. A lot of college coaches came and got to see me coach, and that's what really a lot of GA opportunities came for me. And so was able to go to the University of Houston. I was there for the 2023 season. And then after the season, I was fortunate to get a couple of FCS opportunities. First step at Gardner-Webb, and then again the stop over here, and now still here. So I also think about that.
I love it. And just so that people know a little bit about Coach Trawick's career at Miami, he was the first guy I ever saw in the weight room that wouldn't have the squat bar going, the weight was still, he was bending the bar a little bit, and we all thought it was going to snap. So I remember those days as a young kid watching that.
And I'm still pushing the weight. I'm still throwing it around.
I'm glad you brought this up, Donnie, because I've been pretty quiet.
Okay, right? Go ahead.
And I could just tell. I knew this when she said teammates, and he said 3-year starter. Yeah. Connecting the dots about you were just enamored with him in the weight room. This dude bodied you every day.
I'll give you
in one-on-ones and inside run every day.
I'll give you this line from my offensive line coach in our
Sayers knows it. He's smiling because we both know the this dude. You literally had nightmares of this dude. You had to put on the pads, and you're sitting in your locker on Tuesday, and you're like, "Oh, Nate's gonna body me again today."
No, really, honestly, the only person I'll talk smack right now, he's my guy, Sam Murray. He was a offensive lineman, roommate, and I put fear into him. We talk smack. That's literally my best friend. We talk smack all the time. But I was a guy that I was like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna get.
I'm just gonna be real. Looking at this picture over here, it's like to this side of my screen, right? This man next to me is tearing Donnie up. Just looking at the size by size, neck, shoulder, neck, all that sized up here.
See, Nate mainly played interior, so we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't really clash like that. Donnie was really on the edge. He's really a tackle.
The one story I have is when I was a freshman.
You never had to block an interior D lineman, Donnie?
So here's my story. I was a freshman.
What scheme are we running here? Just like
never down block
Donnie
people.
running the Gatorade cooler?
Yeah, but Nate,
never down block people.
Nate, you were mainly like that, like one tech. You were never really like at the three technique spot. But the one story is I had my first exit interview as a freshman. I was like 255 pounds as a freshman off of like 260. And my O-line coach is in the season. He goes, you're doing, it's like you're working really hard. He goes, we got to get some weight on you. He goes, it's like you're stepping into traffic and standing in front and getting hit by the semi, but getting straight up. And I said, is the semi Nate? Because I was playing a lot of guard on scout team. And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, understandable. So yeah, Coach Barnett. Yes, sir.
We would pay good money for that film. If anybody has it out there and you would like a little cash donation, we'd pay big money for it. But
no, I'd pay big money for Coach to come down during the combine days, line one-on-ones up, run it back for the one time.
Sure.
For one time.
We'll set it up. I'll film it.
I'm at a point in my life I gotta really stretch. I gotta get an hour. I gotta get an hour activation in. And
I'm warning you right now. You warm up with the players. You stretch.
I feel
still might need a little longer though. So
I feel that stretch aspect. I really do. But I'm excited. This is a really great episode. We've talked about, man, we're going to get into talk about D-line, which we're 76 episodes into this, and we haven't had a D-line pure episode yet, so I'm excited. But let's get to know this man a little bit more, Ryan. Go ahead, kick us off.
Here we go. The Pick Six segment is powered by Story Rivals. Sports, media, championships, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful parts of athletic competition. They are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available.
Ryan, you're right. You're allowed to pause and breathe.
I try to get through it. I try to get to a point. And once I get to that point,
please don't die in an ad read. Ryan, please pause and read.
Because he's trying not to
breathe. All right. That's right. And Story Rivals is your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. The period means you can pause and breathe, Ryan, okay? Story Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact them by email info@storyrivals.com. Get started with them now. Set up your summer, set up your apparel shop, right? They do fantastic work.
Stupid.
I'm on one tonight. I can't wait.
Look at him. He's disgusting. All right. Coach, I got the first question for you. Ready?
Yep.
It's probably going to be the best question of the night. Like per usual, my first question's always.
You got great questions.
Now these are random. You don't know, these weren't on your sheet that we sent. So
that's what's coming with these. I'm ready for whatever. Ready for whatever.
If you had to pick one kitchen utensil to switch out for your hands for the rest of your life, which would it be?
Kitchen utensil, definitely fork. Definitely a fork. Definitely stabbing stuff.
Fork's good. You can pick up a lot of stuff. You could fight with it. That's a good choice, Coach.
Yeah, definitely a fork.
I don't like it.
What are you picking, Sayers?
I don't either.
I'll pick
Tong.
The grill.
I was going to say Tong.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still pick up some with the other hand, dude. It's not like you don't have another butcher knife meat cleaver. Just a big.
No, because it's both hands. I'm saying both hands.
Both. I didn't hear the both. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I said hands. That's plural. That means both.
I thought it meant my mind went like one hand got replaced.
I must not know periods and stuff, but you don't know plurals. That's hands too.
Forks definitely like Wolverine.
I like that.
I can stab stuff. I got best of both worlds right there.
All right, I like it. I'll give it to you, but I'm a tong guy. I'm going tongs.
Okay, respect.
Coach, my first question for you, everybody hears about IMG Academy with the rankings and the players come out, but what's the most underrated part about that place that people might not know about, whether it's from the player side or from the coach's side? What's the most underrated part that you could think of?
I think the most underrated part is because there's a couple of teams there, and there's a team, there's a national team, there's a state team, and then you got at the time they had postgraduate team, but really just a lot of people, the state team's really competitive, really good. They have Division I players and all that stuff, but really that coaching staff on the state team, it's a lot of guys that are fresh out of college, a lot of guys that got played Division I, that's getting really their first coaching opportunity when they're 23, 24. Like I was on staff at the time and the defensive staff, we were all around 24, 25. And those guys right now, one's a receivers coach at Nevada, one's the linebackers coach, D tackles coach at Florida Atlantic. I'm here at Colgate. The safeties coach went. He's coaching the XL, the AFL. And so, and then the corners coach, he was our age too. He went GA to Alabama. Now he's the corners coach at Georgia Tech at the age of 27, 28. So just the amount of good young coaches that get their first opportunity there. It's very competitive. You learn a whole bunch, but it's really the closest thing you can get to college. And so I think that's the most underrated part is there's a lot of young coaches there that they get to move on and they get to move up fast. Again, you got a lot of guys that are FCS and FBS coaches under the age of 30. So I think that's the most underrated fact of it is you learn a lot. It's football 24/7. It's in a college type of atmosphere, and you get a really good chance to learn and grow. So I think that's the most underrated part of IMG.
Love it. Coach, you're in spring ball, man. We appreciate hopping on. And what is maybe your team or your unit's biggest area emphasis right now? What are you trying to improve on? I feel like right away you think about what's fresh in your mind as a coach. You go back, and this is what we talked about last episode, evaluating last season and building a blueprint for the next. And I think right away you're fresh in your mind, your deficiencies or things you're trying to work on. What are you doing right now here in the spring?
Yeah, I think the biggest emphasis is really the fundamentals for our group. I have a younger group, but the thing about my group that I'm really excited about is most of the guys that's coming back, really all my guys, besides really one young guy, played in games, and guys have started in games. Just you got a lot of sophomores, you got some experience, juniors and seniors that have had a lot of playing time. Again, I've had guys play a lot of snaps, and I'm a big believer when you're especially coaching defensive line and you're playing in a season, you want to have 8 to 10 guys that can go. You know what I'm saying? So I try to teach the concept to really the whole group that, hey, I want 8 or 9 starters, right? Because again, if we get things rolling and guys are playing at a fast speed, hey, we're going to need 8 or 9 bodies. But I think that's the thing I'm most excited about is really coaching the fundamentals of spring and correcting the little small details. Because last year, there was a period of time, I think from February, because their D-line coach left, and then they were finding guys that they have a D-line coach last spring in fall camp. Get the fall camp, you really had to teach the new philosophy, the new drills, and you were teaching that. Now it's all these guys know the drills, and we can run our output, our operations really fast, really neat. And so now we can really focus on, hey, correcting stances, correcting our strikes, correcting our eyes. So they know the drills and stuff now. So now we can continue to build off that. So biggest emphasis this spring, continue the fundamentals, getting better reading our keys, and get better with our stances and our striking hands.
That's a very overlooked thing because I've changed programs before. In fact, there was a joke a while about how long I would be somewhere. It is sneaky how the first year, for a while, it's almost like you're speaking a whole different language.
For sure.
When you're bringing in new drills and you're trying to talk your coaching points, that whole first year, I feel like you're just trying to introduce who you are and what your drills are and what your language is. And it's that pace at the beginning is so slow and from what you're used to when you've been somewhere else. So that's an interesting point.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. For me, I had such an old group last year. I had 3 fifth years and 2 seniors. So I had a really big older group. And so you got 4th and 5th years of guys using to do a set of drills a certain way. And then with these guys, we had a really big, really talented freshman class last year that are rising sophomores that were able to come in and play. And now it's, hey, those guys, that's just what they know now. And we're able to hit it. And now we're able to build off that too.
Love it.
No, that's great. Coach, upstate New York, right? For you guys, what's the number one food spot that's up there in upstate New York? And what's the number one dish that makes them the number one spot for you?
Man, that's a tough one. I'll tell you what, and I never really ate this until I got here. But first thing, they really talk a lot about their clam chowder. And it's actually, I had it one time up here.
It was like New England.
Huh?
Isn't that New England?
Yeah, but it's big up here.
You guys are just playing in all these uppity stereotypes. Yeah, Oxford, Miami, clam chowder.
Clam chowder? Dude, I've never heard that.
Dude, I know what it is, but can we continue to just pick all the elitist buzzwords as we continue tonight?
Clam chowder.
Thing, some of my stops, I've been in the South for a lot of my stops, and so the food up here, just to be nice, I'm not even talking bad about the food up here. I'm up here, I'm embracing the food. But I will say my favorite spot up in the area that's in our town is Ray Brothers. So it's a barbecue restaurant, and it's probably the best barbecue in the state. And this state's not really
They
known for
gotta have
barbecue.
that
I
clam
knew he was
chowder,
hurt for
though,
barbecue. Like
Now the
before he
clam
said
chowder's
that,
not
my
there,
next
bro. I was
comment
just trying
was
to,
that.
I was just trying to switch it up.
Wait
Trying
a
to switch
second.
it up.
He completely switched the whole thing. He
Hey,
was
We went
going
from
to
clam chowder to
all day.
ribs.
No,
Did
but
not
I'm
get
saying
well.
like that's like their soups and stuff up here. Like they go crazy for clam chowder. I don't really eat it, but I'm saying my spot would be Ray Brothers. That's barbecue spot.
So
And
you're
everything else.
talking for everybody else, they would say clam chowder spots up there. But you are Ray Brothers.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm Ray Brothers for sure. Because if not, everything else is like freaking Applebee's, Texas Roadhouse. It's all the chain spots up here. So
Hey, too bougie Miami, they can't eat no chain spots. They gotta go to the expensive joints.
oh yeah.
McCormick,
Hey, that's the best thing about Miami.
Coach, my second question for you. So we got the second season, I guess third season, but second time for quarterbacks with the Netflix show that follows the three players in the NFL. I think this quarterbacks, it's Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, and then I'm blanking on who the third one is. If you had the magic wand to make that same series, but for a different position, and we're going to make it hard, we're going to say not defensive line for 2026, which group are you picking? What position group would you pick? Can't be D-line.
Can't be D-line, man. I would say, I'm not even gonna be good with names, but I would say the O-line. And the reason why, because you don't like. I think like a podcast I like watching, Taylor Lewan. That dude's hilarious. And so every offensive lineman that I know, like personally, like they're all funny, right? But like in the media, like nobody really talks about O-line, D-line in the media like that. Like they're real interior guys. I like the Von Millers and stuff. I'm talking about like the nose tackle, the center. Besides Jason Kelson recently being involved in the podcast, like nobody really talks about interior offensive line and stuff like that. And those are like the big guys are the funniest guys on the field. Like we mash each other 24/7, but like we literally have the best personalities. I think the receivers, they're divas. The DBs are divas. The linebackers, they just muscle necks. I just want to hear, but like we're up front, we have fun. So I think that would be like a good series to have. Names, I'm going blank right now because usually during the NFL season, I'll be honest, the last couple of years coaching college, I don't really get that much. Most of my Sundays is watching thousands of Cubs. I can tell you about college players all day.
Not Donovan. I wish he would watch more high school film and scout film. That's all this dude wants to watch is NFL film.
NFL games.
It's like he's got the NFL game up as we're trying to meet. You know what? It's good to see that there's some dedication with some Miami
hours look like? What are his huddle hours?
There were some questionable times. Donovan has been on a steady increase, and he has been molding himself. But I will say there are times where I look at these cats and they start talking NFL when we're trying to talk business, and I'm about to snap.
It's so funny looking at his face.
That's awesome.
All right, Coach, I'm going to keep it here and talk about shows a little bit. Gruden's QB camp is back. They had the second episode tonight. I haven't got to watch it. I'll watch when I go to bed. But what's your thoughts on him? Let's pause so we don't get canceled. We're not talking about anything that's happened in the past. But it dawned on me. I'm watching the first episode with my wife, and I was just thinking to myself, I don't know if personally I could be in the room with John Gruden every day. I think like X's and O's on the board would be cool for a day or a little bit, but day in and day out, he might be too much for me if he were coaching me. I don't know. What do you think, Coach? Would he be a guy you vibe with? Would you not? Like, what do you think?
I think he's different. I think he's just a different cat. I think he's like old, like really old school, but has like old school like terms. In weird ways, is bro, what do you mean by that? And then also too, it was funny. Like the other day, I was thinking about this. Like the thing he's doing right now with like all the colleges are sending him gear, and he's like opening like all the packages, like holding up T-shirts, like saying, "Hey, what school is this?" and stuff like that. So I think he'd be a guy. Obviously, I think he's knowledgeable. He has a lot of knowledge of the game. He's quirky. He's different in his delivery with things. For me, I don't work with a lot of different cats, and so I'm really big on working with a lot of different personalities and As long as he's a guy that, hey, respects his coaches and invests in the coaches and players, and hey, you can really believe in what you want to
I
believe
was
in.
talking at lunch today, and I was like, I could get down with him, I think, as my head coach. But if I was a quarterback and I'm in the room with him every day, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was just my take.
Yeah, like he baptized the quarterbacks, so that'd be tough being a quarterback for him. But as a head coach, I think he'd be cool.
I rock with people like that. I love this juices, and I think he's hilarious. I could rock with him.
Yeah,
Kyle,
he's
you're
a cool
kind
guy.
of good, but Kyle's like if I explain Kyle, I would say he's an Eeyore.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just like a kind of person.
Yeah.
Diamond's laughing because that's literally not me at all. That's why Diamond's laughing so hard right now, is because Diamond's heading into year 4 working with me, and that's literally not how anybody would describe me in our program.
Guys, let's move it on, man. But that is him. That's Eeyore.
I love it. That was the Pick Six presented by Story Rivals. Coach, let's get into the main segment for tonight. Sure. Main topic for tonight is titled Front Four Fury. It's the art of defensive line pass rush, breaking down opponent qualities of pass rushers, etc. And of course, our main topic tonight is sponsored by First Down Playbook. First Down Playbook is the nation's leading playbook and play design software. With over 35,000 professionally drawn and editable team plays with notes and full playbooks to start from, you'll be on your way to getting an edge over the competition. First Down Playbook can be your entire team management system with practice schedules, scripts, custom quarterback wristbands, and more. If you use the code HEADSETS25 or mention the show, you get 15% off what's already the most affordable option in today's game. It's all over our socials. We mentioned each show. The link is in our show notes if you need to go find it. This is a great time for the summer hits. If you're looking at some last-minute needs, start evaluating those needs and get on with First Down Playbook as soon as you can. So,
Front Four Fury might be the most fire episode title we've crafted. I knew you guys would like it.
Yeah, I'm hyped up about it. It's definitely
Which AI did that one, Kyle?
Where the dogs eat.
Good spot for that. That was a great spot for that, Kyle.
Sayers, I hope you took some notes about that breath work and those pauses in there. I think that was really solid by me with the ad read. But, Coach, starting off with this, kind of when you are evaluating your own defensive line, whether it's the beginning of the year, you're going into spring ball, hell, when you're going out on the recruiting trail or you're evaluating going into the season, what are some of the qualities you look for? If it differs, it's going to differ stylistically a little bit between interior, exterior, offensive line or defensive linemen. But what are some of the qualities or traits that you really look for when you're looking for guys that can either play in your program right now or guys that you think you can recruit and play for you down the road?
Yeah, first thing, I'm looking for guys that are hard-nosed, that are physical players. And for me, there's a lot of good defensive linemen out there on film that are great pass rushers. Like in high school, it's easy to run around blocks and be a great athlete and stuff like that. But I really like the kids. I'm watching film, like how they take it on blocks, especially if you're a guy on the edge, a speedster, a pass rusher guy. Are you willing to set the edge? Are you willing to be physical at the point of attack? And the same thing interior-wise as well. Are you willing to play blocks? Because for me, the easiest thing to teach is pass rushing, right? Because, again, like that's the thing that comes last that guys pick up really fast. The hardest thing really to pick up is like wanting to be physical at the point of attack and playing the run and fitting the run and reacting to blocks. So it's definitely a different mindset when you're looking at guys like, hey, I see some really good athletes, but it's like, all right, he's not playing in blocks, so I got to develop him fitting the run. And so that's just a thing that, guys, that's the hardest thing to pick up so far, because in high school, it's really easy to like, hey, I'm looking in the backfield, see ball, go get ball. The first thing I'm looking for in film is how physical are they at the point of attack? And then also just by position, what attributes do they have at position? For us, especially being the multiple defense, 3-man, 4-man, stuff like that. Your interior guys definitely got to be thick, got to be wide, got to be extremely physical. So I'm looking for guys. And for me, I'll take a short defensive tackle, interior nose tackle. I'll take a short one. If he's 5'11", 6 foot, if he's strong, has a good anchor, plays with a good motor. And especially I like kids that have wrestling backgrounds that are interior wise. And then for that 3 tech, now you got a bigger body kid that's really athletic, that can move laterally, that can pass rush and stuff like that. And then with your field in, you get a big, strong, long kid and to the boundary. You're looking for guys that are athletes that can pass rush, that might be asked to drop in some things. And those guys can be basketball players, that guys that can move and stuff like that. So I try to really, especially when I'm going through the recruitment process, I'm a big fan of multi-sport athletes because I think it translates very well. And so again, if guys are playing basketball, guys are throwing. If you're throwing a shot put, throwing a disc, it shows how explosive the defensive lineman is. And so I always try to look for those things too, to see if they're doing things out of season, because guys at this level, you'll see the difference of how guys move. You'll see the difference how, from a kid that's just in the weight room all year, all around, compared to a kid that's still lifting, still in the weight room, but is competing in other sports and doing other movements. Like usually when you get those guys are more fluid, like in running, change of direction, rather than the guys that are just like, hey, just doing summer conditioning, weightlifting. They're like more stiff, powerful guys, while those multi-sport athletes can really move and change direction like that.
What's a deal breaker, Coach? You guys get sent a ton of film, and
Yeah.
I know at the college level, a lot of times you rank kids like A, B, C, D film, you put them into categories, but what's a deal breaker? What gets shut off right away? This guy can't play for us.
Yeah, really just first thing, the deal breaker is like pad level, and then really just avoiding blocks, not really being physical at the line of scrimmage. Because for us, D line and even O line, I tell my guys all the time, we don't have the luxury of avoiding blocks. Like defensive line, every play, you're hitting somebody, like you're touching somebody every play, and you can't hide. And so that's the thing that for me, that's the first thing. If a guy, I'm gonna give you 3 or 4 clips, and I don't see you being physical in none of the clips, or you're just playing high and not doing that line of scrimmage. Like anybody can run to the ball, but I want to see guys playing physical and have the intent to strike an offensive lineman, to get off a block and get separation. So for me, that's within the first 3 plays. If I don't see that, I'm on to the next one, because every day I'm recruiting Indiana, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi. So I'm recruiting a couple of states. I'm watching film every day of high school kids. Again, if you don't get my attention in the first 3 or 4 minutes of you being 3 or 4 plays of you being physical, and then it's on to the next cat.
Coach, for you, like obviously, like D line, that my favorite part is getting paid, right? Getting sacks and everything. Sure. So that's everybody. That's how we get our name in the newspaper.
Yep.
And so for you, how do you train or how do you develop D linemen to be pass rush? Or are you a guy is our get off first going to be run game or pass rush first? What are we thinking on get off? Like, how do we train that too?
Yeah, so for me, like the first thing I do, especially where our stances, is just understand. Unless if it's like third and long, you get your long sprint stance. But I train my guys that, hey, like your run stance and your pass rush stance is the same. Like your first step, like I'm trying to get off the ball and I'm trying to get knocked back on the line of scrimmage, and same thing. Like if that develops in the past, like you shouldn't change how you get off the ball. Like your get off should be the same, whether it's 30-10 or whether it's 3rd and 2, right? And so again, I want guys flying off the ball, getting knocked back, and if it develops in the pass, then have a plan attack to be ready to go to your primary and then go to your counter. And so really day one, when I'm teaching pass rush, like the easiest thing I like doing about teaching pass rush, I like teaching really the concept of pass rush, right? So day one, like every kid, any D lineman that's played in high school, middle school, whatever, like their number one move that you don't even have to tell them is the bull rush, right? Everybody knows how to bull rush. Everybody goes to the bull rush. That's the first thing. So I try to teach guys to understand the concept of pass rushing, right? And again, most of the time, like 4 down, even if it's a 3 down and it's a simulator, right? We're bringing a guy and we're rushing 4. The first thing to understand when you're pass rushing, right, I like to call it a cage concept. Right. And so again, we want to cage the quarterback and we want to have rush lane integrity. Right. So we want to have awareness of where the quarterback's at. From our first, like day one, teach those guys, all right, cage the pocket and collapse the pocket. Right. And so again, if we got really good coverage in the back end, like preventing the quarterback to be able to step up, make a throw, or leave the pocket. Right. Because especially in college nowadays, it's full of mobile quarterbacks. Like guys can run. That position is more athletic than ever. So guys have started long and guys got the pocket, like there's just high probability to get a first down, depending on the coverage or depending on if we're a man or whatever it is like that. And so just getting those guys to understand, all right, the cage concept. So if you cut the quarterback in half right down the middle, all right, you want to have a 2-by-2 ratio. So you want to have 2 defensive linemen on one side, you want to have 2 defensive linemen on the other side. So now you got your 4 rush lanes. All right. Now for the ends, I'm teaching those guys, all right, so you're basically your landmark to get to, right, is we're working the quarterback depth, right? So again, for an end, I can't get any deeper than the near shoulder of the quarterback, right? So near shoulder of the quarterback, all right, for each side. And then if I'm an interior guy, my near path is the nearest pec. All right, so to keep it a 2-by-2 ratio. Now, for those guys, let's just say if it's a 5-man protection, most of the time it's 6-man, or they might chip protection, stuff like that. But if it's just a straight 5-man protection, usually the center is going to slide. So there's going to be a center slide to somebody. Most of the time it's a nose tackle. If there's a really dynamic 3-tech and that nose tackle can't pass rush, they'll slide to the 3-tech, right? And so most of the time the center is going to slide to an interior guy, and that's what I call the vice, right? So if you're a 3-tech and let's just say you get center slide to you, now you become the nose. So now I got to work into the vice and I got to get vertical through the center, right? So now I become the nose. And let's say if I'm the nose and the center slides away, I'm the 3-tech. I got the 2-way go. So getting those guys to understand, all right, where you rush, where your landmarks, that's the first thing I like to do, right? So I like to do that. Then the next thing I do too is, all right, if you're rushing, our number one rule when you're rushing, anytime same color crosses your face. So let's say if a teammate is just getting washed and his pass rushing gets caught by the center and is getting washed and he crosses your vision, right? Then you wrap behind, right? So it's a natural game, right? So anytime it's the same thing if a backer's coming, right? It's a similar, a backer's coming and that D tackle sees a backer past his face, getting washed, you just wrap around, it just turns into a natural game. So getting guys to understand, all right, your lane concepts. And then the next thing is understanding, all right, anytime same color, same teammate crosses your face, replace them and make it right. We always want to get things to a 2-by-2 ratio. So that's day one for me. Even if I'm not even teaching any pass rush moves, getting guys to understand, all right, how the concept of cage in the pocket so we don't open up rush lanes. Because a lot of things, especially when you get some of these young guys that'll come in when they're rushing, all right, they'll get really 3 or 4 yards past the quarterback. Just if a guy's trying to do an inside move, he's getting washed. And now we got all these run lanes that quarterbacks can escape and suffer. So that's the first thing I'm teaching with those guys and even the young guys as well is that cage concept. And then the next thing really after I teach the cage concept, they have a fundamental standing of how offensive line sets you, right? And where the slide's coming. Now the next thing I'm teaching, I like to do a progression. So for pass rush, for me, we're working on movement, right? Again, I like to get the bags out, and I'm a big component. I like working pass rush moves on body, but I like to get the heart rate up doing drills on the bags. So speed bags and stuff like that. For me, when we're going through bags, a lot of times I'm working on dudes get off and they're bend. So most of the times we're not even, for my group, we're not even striking the bag. We might throw in a pass rush move here and there, but I want guys to run, dip, and working on bending that edge, matching the hip of the offensive lineman, and then reaching with that outside rake, because anytime you have a successful pass rush move, now I got to reach with the outside hand to turn my body to the path of the quarterback. So a lot of times for progression, I'm getting guys, we are working on bags, working on bending and dipping and stuff like that. And then once I start to work on pass rush moves, we're getting on body and I'm teaching. So we might, there's a series. I'm a big believer in teaching a series at a time. So if we're working on a long arm series, working on a long mark, walking him back, working on a long arm, he sits. Now I'm transitioning back out to a single, working on a hump. So I'm a big believer, like anytime we're working on a pass rush move, to work on the primary, the counter, the power, and the speed move out of it. And so I try to keep it simple for those guys because everybody's body type is different. So I like going through the whole pass rush gambit of moves. And then once we start to watch film, all right, hey, like we have a DM right now. He's 6'5", and he's got incredibly long arms. Like he's just long, he can scratch his ankles if he wants to, right? He should be a long arm guy, right? Because he's big and strong. He can move guys, right? and he's 6'5", 6'6", he's got incredibly long arms that he can get separation. My interior nose, I have a really big twitching interior nose that's 300 pounds that can go like a bullet straight line. So I'm like, hey man, you are a bull snatch, right? Bull snatch type of guy to a bull to a hump, right? So I try to, once we get through things, I try to show them the whole gamut. And then I try to specialize. All right, here's your set of moves that will fit you best. And then the last thing too is getting guys to understand. I got some really good pass rushers right now to get those guys to understand, like they go through and watch all these NFL highlights and all these college highlights, and they think they gotta have a whole toolbox of moves. Like, you don't need 20 different pass rush moves, right? You need a primary, a counter, all right? If you can work a power and a speed move and have a counter off that, if you can have 3 moves, power, speed, and a counter, then you can always keep an offensive lineman guessing. It's when you start to get to the point where you try multiple different moves that you don't really get good at a couple. So I teach guys, like, hey, to understand, hey, if you're a speed guy, your primary move should be speed. All right. Have a counter in mind off of that. And then also have some power so they can respect you. Because if I'm blocking a speed guy, I'm going to be ready for speed, throwing some power, right, to keep an offensive lineman honest on his feet. That's the biggest thing we want to do when we're pass rushing, is to keep guys honest. And it's like a chess game. We want to set them up the whole game. So when that counter comes, we're not expecting that counter.
Coach, what's your favorite move to teach out of that? Sorry, Donnie.
No, you're good.
Out of the long arm series?
Yeah, you're talking about all your moves that you're saying you work them in sections and different things. What's your favorite one that you get to coach?
Man, I would say my favorite move that I get to coach, I like the jab series. I really like the jab series where when you're selling it, you're bringing a jab, you're selling the head fake, you're selling the eyes, and then you come back over it, whether it's an arm over or double swipe out of it. Because last year in 2024, I had a really good D tackle, first team all conference D tackle. He led the conference in sacks, and he was really good at getting guys to shift on one foot and then not be able to come back. And so I think, especially in this league, you get guys on different levels, and you get guys to lean. You get offensive linemen lean. That's where you can come back out with speed. So I really like the jab series. And like, even for me, I wasn't an elite pass rusher in college. I was a run stopping nose. But even for me, like, one of my sacks, like, I remember my sophomore year, one of my sacks came off a jab series from being a 2-eye against Ohio. I almost had strips. I had a sack at Ohio. We were playing Ohio. At Miami, had a sack against those guys, all because of the whole game we were running movements. And that's the reason why I like the jab series so much, because we have movements in our packages. So we're going to move, we're going to stick movements, we're going to 2-gap movements, all that stuff. So our guys, when they move all the time, offensive linemen, they sink because they're ready for the movements. And so that's why when it's base stuff and there's no pressures on, and you sell a jab, they're already expecting you to cross face. And so that's why I like a lot. And it's something so simple that you don't have to be extremely talented at it. But when you have all the movements like we do in our defense and stuff, like, you freeze guys up because they're so ready for you to cross face. And the time you don't cross face and you come back over quick, you have an opportunity to make a sack. So I like the jab series. I
love a nice long arm stab. That's my favorite.
Like
long arm stab with a club that wraps you around, like where you run the hoop there within the club, but then and clear to the cue. That's my favorite move.
We run snap single
side D-end this year. Tyreek Lewis, he really got really good at that move, and seeing him hit it so perfectly and clean was great.
Awesome. That's what we teach every day, especially when we're doing our everyday fundamentals. I call it long arm stab. So long arm stab, he sinks. Now I'm clubbing back outside, coming tight over. So that's a move that we work all the time religiously, and it's a really good move to get out.
Ryan really.
More comment. Here we go.
Yeah, I do.
Ryan really loves that move because those little alligator arms could never do that in college. Like, them little short arms. So I get it why he's so enamored with that move. It's just something he could never do in his life.
Hey, did Kyle learn a new word, Donnie? Enamored. He said it twice today.
I know, for some reason it's in my mind.
A new word today.
Dictionary today during OSTs. I got a little bored.
Donnie, before
Go ahead, Donovan.
Coach, I was going to ask you, is there a breakdown that you have kind of on the opposite side when you're getting ready for game week, or even if it's in spring ball right now, when you guys are watching film, when you are talking to your defensive line about, okay, here's progression of how I think you should scout an offensive lineman. Does their
Yep.
foot turn on a vertical set if you're a tackle? Does
Mhm.
the guard's eyes get bad if you start having movement? Do they misfire on a strike? Are they inside and heavy? Is there progression that you give your guys? Hey, this is what you need to look out for. Or this is what I'd recommend you look out for when you're watching film.
Yeah, so I love film. I love making cut ups. I make a whole bunch of cut ups, and really even in the off season, like I sit down and I'm making cut ups of teams and all that stuff. And so for me, I try to give those guys all the answers to the test. And I'm a big believer when you're teaching that first thing they got to do it physically, they got to hear it, and then they got to see it, right? And so for me, I'm always trying to teach those guys and those all three aspects. And when I'm making when I'm teaching those guys a certain type of sets, let's just say it's in season, I'm making a cut up of the whole offensive line. And so I call it a beaten tape. And so I'll have a cut up. And now since with all this portal stuff, and I got a PFF, I'm able to get clips from it. You might see 10, like the first game of the season, you might see, like we're playing Monmouth, but there might be a left tackle and he played at William and Mary last year. So you might see 10 plays of him at William and Mary on that cut up. But I like making a cut up of each offensive lineman, and it's in one big tape. And I'm putting notes throughout it, and I'm telling them about their sets. And so I break every single guy down on the cut up, and then I give them, and what we do together during the season, they have a kind of like not like a test sheet, but a note taking sheet on each guy. And so I have those guys work on it together as a group during the week, and then Thursday we get together. And during the week, we're watching a little bit of the cut. We're watching the guy every single day. Like we might be installing stuff. We might be doing like going over inside run. Like we might be going on run cups and stuff like that. But every day before we go out to practice, we're always going to spend one time on a guy, watching how he sets, all right, and what pass rush moves were successful on him before. So what things got him home on the sack, what things got him beaten on the beaten tape. So we're able to see like, all right, hey, this guy has low hands. All right, he's patient with his hands. He shoots his hands late, right? Or he's a jump setter. He's going to lean, right? So if he's a big leaner, now that counter is coming back. Or he's a deep vertical setter. All right, this guy gets walked back a lot with a long arm stab. So go with power with him and then fall back into the quarterback, right? And so I had those guys get together, and those guys fill it out during the week. And we watch it together. They watch it on their own. But every day we'll watch a guy together. And I'll give them like just tidbits of each guy. And then that Thursday, all right, now they got all their notes. Coach, this is what we've seen. And now I'm like, all right, this is what I've seen. And then that Friday, they get a whole detailed list. And we basically do it together. They get a whole detailed list of each guy. All right, this is his strength. This is his weakness. All right, here's on the moves that worked against him. All right, and then those guys are able to see it. So especially, we had a really good example last year against Villanova. They were a top 10 team in the country and for FCS. And we got home a lot that second game. Like we brought a lot of pressure, got a lot of sacks on those guys, and all because our D-line did a really good job of setting up pass rush moves. Both of the guards inside were heavy leaners, jump setters. So they were going to jump and lunge, and our guys are fast and quick. And so they were able to olay and get some sacks. And so that's the biggest thing I like to teach those guys. Like, hey, make a cut for them so they can see it. And also they don't have to weed throughout the film. So I try to make everything simple for those guys that, hey, pass rush stuff. Here's your pass rush cut up. Here's everything you can watch. And then here's your run fit cut up. Here's all like the important runs and stuff like that. So when those guys are able to watch it, they're not trying to digest 5 or 6 full games. They're digesting 40 plays of the pass. They're digesting 50 plays of our top runs and stuff like that. So it's a little more easier. It's a little more condensed. And out of that too, we're able to talk about, hey, they're a big, I call it 60 scat. So 6-man protection, and you're scatting the back out late. And so like different protections. Hey, this team's big on this. Like this team's big on the insert. And so just those type of things to keep those guys thinking conceptually, because again, pass rushing, I try to tell just a lot of coaches, pass rushing is really a lot of conceptual thinking, like understanding, all right, how offensive lineman is going to set you, setting it up, and then being able to know, okay, where the slide's at. Am I a vice rusher and KJ and the quarterback? Because most of your sacks, I always tell the guys to think of it as it's basketball, right? If all 4 guys are rushing in unison, somebody's going to get the assist, right? Because that edge rusher that beats the tackle clean and has been in that corner if that nose tackle isn't pushed to the pocket, or if there's a running lane that's opened up, the quarterback's just going to step up, either throw the ball or run out the pocket. So if all the guys are where they need to be when they're rushing, that 3 tech could win because you get two-way go. Those edge guys can bend the corner, and that quarterback steps up, has nowhere to go, and they get sacked. So I've seen a lot of guys get sacks because the other 3 guys were just where they need to be.
I like that. We talk a lot about to our kids, like the moment you get beat on something's on film, you got to work it nonstop. Like you got to prove you can stop it because you're going to see it all day now. So I think that's a really good point. But Coach, last question, and I just think this is a good one. This doesn't have to be rushing the quarterback, but what advice would maybe you give to somebody who's maybe a young defensive line coach looking to try to get better?
Yeah, the biggest advice, especially I'll talk a little bit about my journey. This is year 7 for me. So I know 7 years ago when I started coaching at Richmond High School, for me, obviously I played at Miami, had a pretty good career at Miami. But when I got done playing, the biggest thing, first thing, I learned a lot from the coaches at Richmond, because those guys started to get me, like, I played D-line my whole life. So they started to get me thinking back in, starting to think of how everything ties together. So first thing, for a young D-line coach that's played the position their whole life, that's why you see a lot of safety coaches, a lot of linebacker coaches that are DCs, because it's easier to learn from, if you're a back end guy, learn the front end. It's a lot challenging when you're a back end guy, or when you're a front end guy, a D lineman, learn the back end stuff, right? Because you don't see the whole defense. When you're a defensive lineman, everything's condensed, right? Like, I got one key right here. It's an offensive guard. I got to step and strike him. And it's happening instant, right? When you're second level and third level guys, you see the whole defense. You see the whole concept. So for those guys, they learn it quickly. So for a young D-line coach, first thing I would say is learn the whole defense. Learn the whole defense. Learn your defense and learn why you do the things that you do in your defense, because the back end stuff, it translates just as well with the front end stuff. It all ties together. And so that's the biggest advice I would give. First thing is to make sure, like, you're talking football whenever, like, especially if you're at high school or GA, whatever it is, like, you're talking football with those coaches and you're trying to learn as much as you can about the overall concept of the system, whether you're offensive guy, whether you're defense guy. And then the next thing for a defensive lineman too is watch a lot of film, but connect with coaches, man. If you're a young coach, like for me right now, I have a lot of high school coaches that can reach out to me. I love talking to high school coaches. Like, at the end of the day, like, I was a high school coach guy. And so anytime I can help and talk D-line, play with them, I feel honored too, because I think that's how you help some of those guys want to coach college. And so I think anytime, man, if you're a young coach, reach out to other young coaches. Like for me, when I was starting out my first year, like, I was reaching out to a lot of coaches, but I wasn't able to talk to a whole bunch of G5 and Power 4 position coaches. Those guys are just swamped with time, and they're probably getting thousands of messages. But the thing that I did that worked for me was I knew a lot of GAs that I played with, and they were GAs. They're a GA, a 23-year-old GA or a 24-year-old GA is going to be quicker to talk to a 23, 24-year-old high school coach. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, those guys are learning their process and they're learning as well. And so that was the thing for me. Like, when I was coaching high school the first couple of years, I reached out to so many D-line GAs that were my age, that were former players, like, that we were close in the community. Like, I was able to reach out to those guys. And that's how I started, like, building really relationships and talking football with their, like, we had a D-line group message at one time. Like, when I was at Houston, we had a D-line GA group message of about 30 D-line GAs all over the country. Guys from UTSA, guys from TCU, Florida, Georgia, Ohio State. Like, we're all the same age, but we're sitting and talking football and talking techniques and all that stuff. And I'm learning, like, I have my background D-line, but I'm also learning other guys' backgrounds. And then there's things that we run off each other and ideas of, oh, this is what y'all do, or this is what we do, and stuff like that. Because there's things that you learn over the last 7 years. There's things that, again, when I was a GA, like, there's drills that I like, coaching points that I like that I've taken away, just like from the same stuff I learned at IMG. And so for me, just if you're a young D-line coach, reach out to guys. Reach out if you can. I know sometimes you might reach out and you might not get a response. You know what I'm saying? And that happens a lot. But there's a lot of college coaches out there. And I know I'm one of them that if you're a high school guy that reaches out, I'm meeting with some high school guys over the weekend to talk ball. So I know I'm a guy that's going to reach back, and because I know I've been in their shoes before. So if you're a young guy, reach out to coaches, reach out to D-line coaches. And whenever they're free, hey, man, I just want to talk football. And you'll be surprised how many guys that just want to sit and talk football. And so I think that's a thing for young coaches to really focus on. Hey, reach out, connect with as many guys as you can, and go to clinics, go to conventions, but definitely go to clinics. And if you're a high school guy, definitely go to spring practices in the area. That's another great time where coaches are like, you're in spring ball and you're teaching and coaching, but that's the best time of the year where guys are wanting to talk football, wanting to fundamental, because you're not really prepared for a game. So there's not the busyness of a game, and also you're in the mode of teaching. So that's another thing too. Like when I was in Richmond, I was going to Miami, Ohio practices, Ball State practices, UND practices. Like just go learn from people, connect with people.
Love it.
Coach, thank you so much. We appreciate you a ton for coming on tonight. Man, it's been a pleasure sitting here listening to you talk a lot about D-line and stuff. Also, just to reiterate it, we absolutely hate Miami of Ohio.
Oh, my goodness.
Podcast.
Oh, my goodness.
We appreciate you and your knowledge. It's been in depth. It's been great. And we want everybody to make sure when they listen to this, download it, subscribe it, and make sure you comment, give us suggestions. Let Kyle know anything that you need from him. Kyle thinks he's just the legend out here. He always sends his stuff to people and all this different stuff. So he was telling us before we got on here about that, how people lie. Kyle's the angel in the game. But make sure you contact him. Get with our sponsors. I know we're getting close to the year. Get with them. But have a great night and keep listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are doing some great things. There's a lot of great coaches up here, and appreciate the opportunity to get on here and be the first D-line guy to talk about some ball. And then lastly, and we need to have a Miami Ohio podcast. Have 10 Miami Ohio dudes on here, man.
We can get it. We could get it. It's just nice to have Donovan finally get somebody on the show, Coach. Thanks for helping him out.
Hey, you were Donnie's first guest, first guest.
That's not true.
Donovan's brought about 3 to 4 on out of 75. So thanks for helping him out, Coach. He can stay on with us for another month.
Hey, man, anything I can do to help, man.
Appreciate it, Coach. Take care.
Of course, you have a good